there's this list that this kid made of all the people he's going to kill, and you're the top of the list. And I said, like, wow, top of the list. My brother's getting out of prison next week. Don't make plans for Christmas. He said that to me. He's like, no, wait, why are you punching me in the back of the head? Why don't you try to punch me in my face? And
welcome back to the Cultured Podcast, episode 4, I believe, 5. We're going. I'm losing count already. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fucking special guest today. I'm so excited. I've wanted to have this talk. Honestly, the second I thought about it the other week, I was hyped. How to describe him? A lot of you will know him from Beverly. Got coached football. A few of you will know him from tennis. How to describe him, though? I guess he has a little bit.
I coach girls basketball
at
too.
Times. A little bit. Would you say so?
Say that again?
A little bit of a temper at times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's my only emotion is rage.
No, but Coach Giannakis, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for coming on.
Well, I look forward to spending this time with you guys.
No, definitely. So explain where you are right now, because.
Well, before I moved to Beverly, I was in a small mountain community called Weaverville. It's in Northern California, Trinity County. It's part of the Emerald Triangle. You got Mendocino, Humboldt, and Trinity. That's where they were growing illegal weed. Now they're growing legal weed. And so we moved up here when the kids were young. I was at a high school. I talk about my temper. I told some board members, what I thought about them. And then all of a sudden I was teaching kids that were all out of probation. And then I said, screw this, I'm out of here. So I had a job offer in a couple different places, but one was Beverly Hills. And I thought, what the hell? Give this a try. Go from the hillbillies to Beverly Hills.
Outhouse to the White House.
Yeah.
What did you tell the board members? What did you tell them? I'm interested.
Well, there's what you guys have probably experienced and will throughout your life is that people will say things like, I just want you to tell me the truth. I want you to tell me what you really think. And a lot of them don't actually want that. They want you to blow smoke up their ass, And so not getting into particulars, it was just, well, what do you think about this? Well, this is what I think. This is what I think about you. You're just, this and this and this. And I always thought that nobody was better than anybody else. And everybody's on an equal par. Nobody's above the law, but nobody's above that they get to treat people poorly just because they have a higher position, either elected or on the pay scale. If everybody's doing a good job, don't come down and beat me down because you think you know what's right. I actually have maybe a better idea. I could probably do your job better than you. I'm not telling you that, but why are you coming after me? So, just the typical, probably from being a kid, I have problems with authority. So, what's new? It's the same old thing. Yeah.
But I think like way back, I'm not too sure how old you are, but I think in the olden days, in the olden days, right? I think it was like you guys experimented more and you guys could have more fun and be more outspoken. I feel like kids now these days are told like, you can't do this and like all these things. I feel like you were like playing just in the streets and like just go like running up, just creating
I think there's two different sides of that. One is you're right. Like when I think about you guys cruising through, especially you, cruising through Beverly Hills at night, screwing around.
Yeah.
Those police, I grew up in an area, there was a neighboring place that had Gestapo police, and then we had the sheriffs in our town. And they'd pull you over and make you pour out your beer and then tell you to go home or they're going to call your parents or something. Man, when you guys were in high school, you would have been arrested or, it wouldn't have been a happy scene. So we were given leeway. The parents were like, just come back, before it's dark, when you were really small. I used to take the bus as a 10-year-old to the beach, and now my parents would be thrown in jail for allowing that to happen,
Yeah,
but
that's
as far as school goes, man, you're wrong, completely wrong. You can't just speak your opinion. Back in the day, you'd get smacked. I was right at the end in California when they had paddles that they could give you whoopings with in the office. The principal or the dean of students would beat down on you. Now, it never happened to me because I was too smart. I'd get my friends in trouble and then they would get paddled. But when I went to high school, they just ended that. So I had kids telling me every single school I've been at, they threatened my life and my family's life, killing me. At Beverly Hills, it happened.
At Beverly Hills?
That's no.
Yeah. I was teaching almost all freshmen. Carter Pasinger was the principal. I get a call. I don't know how your upbringings were, but I was always never given like really positive reinforcement. Anything, if somebody was going to talk to me, it was because I was in trouble. And so I get this call from Carter, and it's like, hey, Janakis, you got to come to the office at lunch. I go, it's like first period. What the hell's going on? He said, well, just come. I go, I'm not coming unless you tell me what the hell you're talking about. Because I can't go through 3 more periods of not knowing that I'm going to get fired. Do I need to bring union representation? What do I need to do? He's like, just come, get your ass over here at lunch. And he hangs up on me. So the whole time I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, what did I do? Who did I piss off? Did I push somebody? Did I tell some kid they look stupid? Or, what did I do? There's too many things, then your mind just goes.
Yeah.
It's just like you guys, if you got called to the principal, right?
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, why did this happen? It's all the same for me. And I was, 50 years old at the time. Well, I go up to the office and I come in and it's him. I forget the lady's name. She was a vice principal, a Persian lady. She had just got married maybe, and she became a principal at Hawthorne, I think. I forget her name. And she was there and Carter was there, and they go like, sit down. I go, I'm not sitting down. Tell me what the hell's going on. And they go, there's this list that this kid made of all the people he's going to kill, and you're the top of the list. And I said, like, wow, top of the list. I finally made it to the top of the list. And they're like, quit screwing around. This is serious. I go, serious my ass. Who's the kid? And they tell me the kid. And it was a kid who had a last name that I think it's AL dash something. In Arabic is like part of the royal family or something. And so this kid was not illegitimate, but married out of wedlock. What happened is a lot of the Arabs and Arab royal family and Saudi royal family come to Southern California. They go to school. The guys go out and do all the bad stuff against the Quran that they do in America. Doesn't seem to count. So they go act crazy, and then they go back and then marry and have their 4 wives or whatever they do. I'm not sure. And so this kid, I don't think it ever met really his dad, but he had this last name that was a royal family, but white mom. So this was probably out of wedlock birth, whatever. And so he's in my class, and they tell me this, and I'm like, the shooting, it just happened at Santa Monica Community College. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Really? There was a shooting there maybe when you guys were probably around freshman year or something, where a kid with a rifle went through the school and shot some people. And so they were like really afraid. I go, tell this kid, give him my address. I want to see him come to my house. I'll kick his ass. I don't care. And Carter's like, Jesus, you're an idiot. I go, I don't give a crap, because they're worried because it was like, well, he's Saudi, so that means he's like, from the Middle East, like this is dangerous. I'm like, I'd kick that kid's ass. And then later I see him, I said, what the hell? He's like, it's just a stupid list. Okay, whatever. But that was at Beverly.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. Whatever happened to the kid?
I don't know. Probably went to a private school. I mean, they catch you with a list like that. And I didn't ask who else was on the list. I found out I was number one. And I'm like, God, I said my whole life, I've been waiting for this time, this moment.
Who was number two? Did you ever find out?
No, you didn't.
No.
Oh, amazing. I'm sure.
It's probably like a Beyonce or something was his number two.
Well, you're a fierce character. It makes sense that you're number one.
See, I don't believe that. You're not the first one that has said it, that like fierce or whatever, or, you got rage or you're angry. I got a little temper, but it's nothing.
Oh, man,
I mean, fun. You were never worried.
I think people, like, at least my interaction that I've had with you, I think people would like either like love you or hate you. But I think that's a good mix because that means you like stand out.
I think what it is the people that get to know me like me, and then the ones that it's a typical. I can't tell you how many times, even in track, that the kids, the hurdlers, let's say, or people that didn't know me would be like, "Man, that guy's a jerk," and then the throwers would be like, "What are you talking about? He's the best coach we've ever had," And so it's like, well, I just get to know me because I can say things to be funny, and sometimes they don't go the right way. So then people take it harsh.
People take stuff too serious, and you say something once when they're in a shit mood, and it's like, oh, this guy sucks. Like, oh, we need a good coach who's serious. It's like, nah, and you want to have some fun, Janakis is your guy. We had so much fun in tennis.
I can't tell you over the 30 years of teaching and coaching that, kids would say, well, I had to come to school today because we had practice, and I couldn't miss that because it's fun being out there with you. Or I skipped every period except your physiology class because I knew we were going to have a good time and I was going to learn something. So for me, it's always been that. But, I do put my foot in my mouth, and I could tell you 1,000 different times, because if you just fly off the cuff and try to have fun, sometimes you hurt people's feelings. And then the key is, and being a coach that wants to push kids, you also have to, bank up the trust and the love that you have between you and the players and the students, so that when you do crack the whip, they go, oh, this isn't just a guy screaming for no reason.
I saw what you do, and you were really good at this, where you'd build the relationship with the kids by joking around, like swearing, whatever, like just having fun. But then you'd be able to flip the switch and get like kind of serious as well. And I think if you had just got serious in the first place without joking around, they wouldn't really respect it, or they wouldn't listen as much. But the fact
for you being part of that tennis group, that's a hard shoe to fill with Margolin before. That I couldn't just come in and go, this is the way it's going to go. First of all, he knows so much more about tennis than I ever will. So what am I going to do? Go in there and change everything? Some coaches do that. Let's change it. The culture was good. The kids wanted to play. They wanted to be there. I was just filling some shoes for a while with tennis, where in other cases you do come in and you go, you jump down their throats to start with and take the sacrificial lamb. And then, everyone goes, holy crap, he just beat up that guy for nothing. I better, toe the line.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did that for football.
Well, a little bit, but football, seriously, when I was there at Beverly, it was a difficult chore, because just the players weren't of the level necessary to win in that league. I mean, when you're talking about Hawthorne and Inglewood and, Lawndale and even Samo. I mean, they had 2,000, 3,000 more kids than us, just the kids to choose from. And then all the kids at Beverly over the years that were on permit, they had ended that 5 or 6 years before. So now they have all weeded themselves out of the program. So now all we have is Beverly kids. And not that that's bad, but then there were so many athletic kids that the parents refused to let them play football. So, on
I remember you tried to recruit me. There was like one time you were like, I was walking on the bus, you're like, play football. I was playing basketball. You're like, you should play football. I was like, no. I used to play rugby though, but nah, too many injuries.
But that's the thing I couldn't sell it like some of the other guys because there might have been somebody else that could have grabbed you, but I could tell. I mean, it wasn't even like a glint of, well, maybe, It was just like, no, I'm not doing it. It's like, okay, sorry.
Why didn't you recruit me to play football?
That's obvious, Adam. It's obvious. But then again, do you remember me talking about Nick Pupiak?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah. So there's Nick. He comes out for football. I'm like, why do you want to play football? He goes, that's like his favorite sport. And he saw like the opening that, I could actually be on this team. And he tried real hard. And I remember at tennis, I was telling you, I asked him to quit every day in football. Nick, please quit. We don't want you out here anymore. You were the worst player we've ever had. And everybody's kind of chuckling, but I was being kind of serious, but also like, what is he going to get out of football? Just like most kids, he's going to get working through, a problem, working through issues and the adversity and going through, because it hurts, man. You bang yourselves up. And you're crawling on the ground, people stepping on your hands with their cleats, you're smacking somebody in the helmet with your hand, it's cold out, you catch a ball, you break finger. I mean, I had a friend who loved the NFL. I asked him, he's a stockbroker, he was up in those twin towers behind the school, and he would say, hey, I see you guys practicing down there. I said, well, come down to a game or two. He was on the sideline, he was like, this is insane. I go, I know. And we're a subpar team for this league. I mean, in other leagues, we might have been able to compete, but how fast the kids are flying and smacking each other. And he's like, somebody gets like a serious injury every game. Like, I know, it's crazy. It's football, and the kids, most of them, even the ones that get injured, you'd ask them afterwards. It's kind of pathetic, but the teams that I coached there, those kids, I think the majority of them would say, I'd do it all over again, even 0-10.
Yeah.
Even 0-10. And that's insane to me. And maybe they'd even say it was about me, but I'd say it was about them because I couldn't have done it if they weren't willing to do it,
Yeah. I was going to say with Nick, like he'd complain and he'd do all this stuff, but what you couldn't take away is he'd be there every day and he'd be working for football as well. I was going to say for tennis, that's what he was like. But
yeah.
That's amazing. That's resilience by him. I respect that.
Yeah. But I wish you would have quit.
He would be. So wait, what other sports did you do? So you did football for how long?
When I retired after 30 years of teaching, I counted up all my sports that I coached, and it ended up being 58 different teams.
Wow.
Through that time. And then I also figured out 6 of those years I didn't coach at all. So a lot of the time at Beverly, I went from football to girls basketball. I did the JV program for several years, and then I coached with Brattle on the varsity for a couple of years, and then track and field. And then at other schools, I did softball, soccer.
Yeah.
What else? Cross country a couple of years.
Is there one team that like stuck out as the best? And if so, why?
Well, when I was best as far as,
I don't know. I guess like most best isn't best, but also best isn't like they wanted to work the hardest to get to the goal.
Yeah, I don't know. They all, it's like, it's stupid saying, but it's like picking your favorite kid, it's like they all had special things, and there were kids on the worst teams that I loved, and there's kids on the best teams that I didn't like. And so we won a CIF championship in tennis down on the Central Coast with a school that had more kids in their rodeo program than had on in sports together. So that was pretty cool, taking the cowboy boots off of kids and putting tennis shoes on them and teaching them how to play. That's always kind of fun. And then up here where I'm living right now, I used to coach football. And what was cool about that was sometimes you had 17 kids on a football team.
Yeah.
And the other team would have 50. The other team would have 7, 8, 10, 12 coaches, all with polos and khakis, all matching and everything. And after the game, after you kick their ass, it'd be me with a hoodie on and the other coach, with a visor. And we just walk over, hey, good game, good game. And they're like, you guys only have 2 coaches? Like, yeah. And look at those scrubs, 17 kids, and 3 of them didn't play because you'd be afraid of them getting killed. So some of those teams were pretty cool. Being at Beverly coaching tennis, I mean, what a great group of guys that was. It was pretty awesome. Now, how much influence did I have? Like I said, very little. That takes time, especially tennis, track and field. That's something you build a program. You take these kids, not program, you build the athlete. You take that kid in tennis as a freshman, and sometimes they're already good enough to play varsity, but a lot of times they're not, and make them into that player. In track, I remember we'd sit there as coaches at Beverly and watch the freshmen walk in, and all of a sudden there'd be like a 6'10" girl, and the volleyball coach would be like, what the hell? All right. But then Margolin would be like, I taught her when she was 6 tennis. I'm going after her. And they'd all like go in attack to try to get them to play. And then all of a sudden this kid would walk by and they'd be like, yeah, that kid. And all of a sudden Fisher out in track got him, a scholarship, in the 400 and you're just like, wow, that's the cool part, seeing them take on the athletic side of it. On the other side, seeing you as a man is pretty cool, and knowing that you have some warm feelings about me, it makes it worthwhile. It's kind of nice.
Have you noticed the change in me in the last, how long have we known each other? 3 years now? Do I seem more?
I mean, some a little more confident, even just on the phone with you and stuff. And, physically, guys do a lot of changing from like sophomore year in high school on. And sometimes I'll see this town that I'm in, I taught for almost 10 years here. So everybody in the town from like 28 to 38, I know, because they were at the school. And some I have no idea who they are. Yeah. I mean, it's just, a totally different person than they were before. But that was, enough time. So
that's insane. I wanted to ask you too, like what sport were you good at when you were younger?
I was kind of not good at any of them, but I was the guy, just like Adam was saying about being maybe fierce and having some rage to him. I played so much better than I should have at all the sports. But I played tennis in high school and I played soccer in high school. Back in the day, California had what's called junior highs. So that they were 7, 8, and 9th grade. And then high schools were 10, 11, 12. So they were like 3-year things. And so I played football in my 9th grade year. But then, the guy I beat out to play on the offensive line, when I beat him out, he was already 6 inches taller and 75 pounds more. So I knew that was a losing battle. And even though I liked football, and maybe I could have been good at a different position, it was like, well, I can just hop to soccer, which was at the same time, or tennis or whatever. And I could, do a lot better. And so, yeah, I just enjoyed them all, really,
Yeah.
Did you know you wanted to become a coach when you were younger?
Sort of, kind of. When I finished up, I went to Pomona College out in Claremont, and I got a degree in economics, but it's like a concentration. So it's the liberal arts education, the breadth of study, all that stuff. But when I got out, then I went to Chapman and got a master's in exercise physiology. So I wasn't sure about coaching, but I knew I was going to do something with sports and the body and that kind of stuff. So when I got into teaching, it was just a natural fit to start doing the coaching with it. Plus, it makes you, more desirable as an employee.
Yeah,
because it is.
Both.
And it's and on what you guys didn't see that much. Now, Margolin was different. Who was the track coach when you were there?
D-Wash.
Okay, he was pretty good about being there, but not as good as he could have been, being an off-campus guy. But it's hard.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
mean, somebody could come to me in the morning and be like, "Hey, coach, this and that. I got a test in this class." I go, "Well, let me call the teacher." Blah, blah, blah. But you try to get somebody that's off-campus coach, or just how they know you as a person and getting to know you better and all that stuff.
That's
so
true.
Having on campus, it was so good. Plus, personally, I could embed that into my day, right? If I had to leave early to go to a track meet and I had to skip a period, they paid for a sub, And so you can't do that if you're working UPS or Costco, or you're a dentist and you're doing part-time coaching or whatever, So you're missing out on money to do that, where it never was. But yeah, it was, I would look back now and go, great decision by me to go into teaching and coaching. And I don't think I'm done with coaching up here. I might jump back in now. It's so crazy with, the COVID stuff going on, but that's something I may do again, but I'm not going back in the classroom.
No.
I can only imagine, like, in the classroom, because one of the reasons why I couldn't be a teacher personally is because I just think about that one kid that you're talking about. I would want to, like, hit the hell out of that kid, like that one kid that's like talks shit, or just, I can't even imagine how many times you have to just, like, calm your personality and be so patient with.
As a young man, it was difficult because you're still kind of, you're calling me out as a man. And I don't think of myself as a man yet, but you little asshole that's 12 years old is going to tell me to fuck off. I remember I was teaching at a kind of a city school in Pomona, and a kid was like just MFing me, this and that. And I said, just 1 second, class. Let's come in the back room. I take this kid in the back room and I give him a steel pipe. And I say, here's a steel pipe. I go, hit me. He goes, what are you talking about? He's starting to get scared. I go, hit me. He says, why? He says, because when you do, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. And snaps your fucking neck like this. And he was like, holy shit. And then I'm like, but it's like my first or second year teaching. I'm going from school with it's all Hispanic and black kids. A lot of the Hispanic kids or Mexican basically, can't speak English. So I'm doing my broken La Célula es muy importante, and then they go home to the worst situations. But I had other stuff going on in my life. And so I wasn't able to deal with that stuff. Now you kind of realize that those kids are lashing at you because their life is so bad.
Yeah, they're taking it out on you, right?
Yeah, but it's hard when I can see that if they were taking it out on you, Adam, I'd be like, oh, come on, kid, mellow out. But when they're taking it out on me, it's like, you remember that psycho kid at tennis that
oh my God,
to bomb the school. And I kind of instigated that a little bit and kind of pushed him a little bit, but I was doing it to see if he could be a competitor and be a better tennis player, not realizing.
And I remember the one day, didn't he just leave? He was just like, I'm done. And he just walked off the court. That was crazy. This kid on tennis had threatened to bomb the school as a joke. He was on the tennis team, and I
just kicked him off the tennis team.
But you just kicked him off.
But they didn't tell us that we're outside practicing tennis after he's threatened to shoot up the school or whatever.
Oh my God.
There's another one. I forgot about him.
I completely forgot.
There's another one. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's some crazy people on that tennis team now.
That's two at Beverly. That's two at Beverly that tried to kill me.
Damn, those tennis kids, Adam. You better watch out.
Outside.
They are the psycho ones. Man.
But I won't lie, like, coming from, I don't know if you know Janakis, but I came from South Africa, and just like seeing how education is just so different. And then like I was in Beverly Hills, so it's just like, it was honestly night and day. And just like to see the privilege of kids, like there are people that had Range Rovers and just crazy G-Wagons, just crazy cars, and the privileges, it was insane.
Well, this is the part where we talk and we leave Adam aside, because what I realized going to Beverly myself was it's not right versus left or Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, progressive, whatever. It's rich versus the rest of us. You and me, not Adam. He's one of those rich kids.
I'm not
But please. And so what I realized is like, it's crazy. I went there when I'm up at schools in rural communities, they treat me like, you rich son of a bee. You look at you. You got a new car every 10 years. Look at you. And you own your own house. And, and look at you. You put new tires on your car. And you're just like, what are you talking about? And then you go to Beverly and they treat you like, you know what? I like you almost as much as the pool boy and almost as much as our nanny. But, pump the brakes on thinking you're important, teacher. You're just one of the people that works for us in Beverly Hills. And so it was an interesting phenomenon that I noticed. I'll tell you a little story. At the banquets, this is probably, I'm saying something illegal, and all the coaches will be pissed at me if any of them ever find out that I said this. And that they give you an envelope at the end of the year. And sometimes they, as you guys know, they go through and they ask you guys for $5-10 or whatever. And they put it all together and they give it to the coaches or whatever. Yeah. Now, in other schools, when that's happened, it's been like a girls' tennis team I coached gave like a certificate for babysitting when my kids were young. They would give stuff like that. Or, the dad had a tractor. He promised to regrade your driveway, your dirt driveway or something, in these rural places. But Beverly, they gave money, and I was so pissed. I was like, F these people. What do they think? I need their freaking money? I coach because I coach. I teach because I teach. I don't need this stuff. And then I started thinking, you know what? That's the most important thing to a lot of these people is the money. Yeah. And so for them to go and buy me something would have been stupid, or that they didn't want to babysit my kids, even though they were, already 25 and 28. But it's interesting. But Beverly opened my eyes to a lot of things. Very interesting, like you said, just the opulence, the kids being spoiled, and then on the other side, like you two are fine examples of it. Some of the nicest people I've ever met at that school. And a lot of the kids had no right to be angry about anything, but still a lot of them, some of the sweetest, nicest people. I mean, generally concerned. I would be in front of the class and a girl would come up later and say like, is everything like okay? I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you seem a little down today. I'm like, you're right. I am. How did you figure that out? Well, just want to tell you, everything's going to be okay. I'm like, wow, that's, instead of like, some kids doing that to you when they find out, oh, he's down, let's get him,
Let's get him. I never met those Beverly kids. Where were those Beverly kids at?
The nice
ones? They were there. They were there. I think they were there. I knew a lot of kids that were cool. They were cool.
They were hiding.
Deep down, I think they were, most of them, you guys included, social geniuses. You knew how to act in the right situation. They know what to say. They know how to behave. They know. So when they break the rules, they know that. But they're so intuitive in their sense of, if they saw somebody stumble, there's a whole group of people that, oh, let me help. The kid with the disability, oh, there'd be 10 people trying to help out. Now, honest, there's 5 or 6 making fun of the kid, but there was a whole group that would go out of their way to help out,
Yeah.
Now, I really noticed that at Beverly, and that was one of the most awesome things about the school, as far as I could see, was just, nice people. But like I said, you live in a 4,200 square foot, $10 million home, and, all your meals are prepared for you by a chef and all these other things. Why would you be mad? You should be walking around.
That's true. But you know what I was surprised by? The food. I expected the food in the cafeteria to be way better than it was.
So bad.
It was so bad.
Yeah. Well, I think before you guys were there, the guy who took over the program was the chef. And he tried to make it like Cafe Beverly. And he did some really good things, but still nobody wanted it, And you know what the problem is there? That's a change in society between the old days, like you said, and modern days. And that is so many meals people have prepared for them that they get to order everything exactly how they want. I mean, a kid, I know growing up, that's your meal. You don't want it, we're wrapping it, and you're going to eat it when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Instead of, no, Mom, I don't want that. Okay, we'll order something else from Grubhub, or tell the chef next time to do this. Or maybe the mom's, does cuisine and then takes orders from the kids or whatever. And so then you go to school and it's like, this shit, I'm not eating this. Or when I was at school, my mom didn't make lunches. So she was like, here's your 35 cents. You got a school lunch. I'm like, dang, okay. You're hungry, you eat it,
Yeah.
I've never had
middle class,
jam sandwiches so many consecutive days because I was not eating that shit at school. Fuck that.
Well, you're not in school now, but how was the cafeteria at Oregon State before they kind of shut down?
It was good. You have to pick and choose. There was surprisingly some good sushi, and there was the good sandwiches too. But
well, both of you don't look like you put on a bunch of weight, so you didn't do the freshman.
I did.
What do you mean?
Oh, good weight. No, I meant the freshman 20 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
On your butt.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just did a triathlon. I'm in a shape of my life.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
And you look in good shape too.
I'm always in good shape, baby.
Wait,
I set up a gym in the house. That's what's part of the gig. I've always been a gym rat and like going to. When I was in LA, it was one of the most awesome times. I had the Equinox membership, so I got to go to all the Equinox gyms and work out. And now moving back here, it's like, well, so I bought a bike, a treadmill, and I just put my pull-up bars and bar dip bars outside. I'll hook up bands to them, and I'll be in case somebody else tries to threaten me, right?
Yeah, you'll be right.
You'll fuck them up.
Like I said, so the kids move out of the house. One of the rooms we made into a gym, and then let me pick this up. This is my oldest kid's room. So I got the drum set. Yeah, the PA system. Where's the guitars?
Did you paint that, Janowski?
Yeah, I was an art minor in college. So then I come up here and destroy the neighbor's eardrums. It's good that the lady next door she plays that Fox News so loud, she's deaf, and so she can't hear me banging the drums. But
so it cancels out.
Yeah. So all I know is if anybody ever said anything, I'd be like, hey, I guess I should practice more. You don't like it. And then they'll be like, oh. So.
Wait, so what instruments did you play growing up? Was it just drums? So you seem like.
No, I was a trumpet player through elementary school, junior high, and high school. And then I actually got accepted to go play at a Dave Brubeck School of Jazz, which is part of UOP, University Pacific. And the parents were like, we said we'd help with college, except if you get a bogus major like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I probably should have done it, but then again, whatever. So then I went to college and started playing guitar and tried to get some bands together and stuff when I was a young school teacher, newly married with a kid. And it just never, we were playing all originals. We were ready to start maybe doing some gigs. And the other head guy with me ends up going country. And I'm okay with country music. I like alt country music. But he went totally the cowboy hat. And he had curly hair. He was like a city guy putting the cowboy stuff on. So it wouldn't even work. People would laugh at him for trying to be a country guy. It'd be like, I don't know, like the Village People putting on country outfits. So that's what he started to do. I'm like, well, we're not, and that was too late. So go ahead.
No, I was saying, you said you got married young. How was that? Like, what's young? Like, how old were you when you got?
I was the oldest of my high school friends, but the youngest of my college friends. So
you got married in college? That's
no,
insane.
I would no, but
No,
I was
okay.
the youngest guy to get married of the
Oh,
college
okay.
friends.
I got
My
you.
high school crowd, they had kids in high school,
no.
right out of high school. They were all married, working jobs and stuff. And then, so maybe, I don't know how your parents are. So when am I going to turn 57 in December?
Okay.
And my kids are 28 and 30.
Mm.
So I mean, we were older than our parents, but a lot younger. Like my kids don't have kids yet. And we had already had kids, by the time they're the ages they are. So kind of early, not really, but.
My parents were still young when they had me. They just didn't get married until like later on. They were, I think, 25, and they got married at like 30 something. So that's like still pretty young.
Yeah, that was about the age we did, and that was kind of young for people that didn't have accidents like all my high school friends. I went to one of my best friends in high school broke up with his long-term girlfriend, and it was like junior year he broke up with her, and then senior year comes up, and he was such a dog that nobody would go to the prom with him. So he asks the girlfriend that he'd been broken up with for a year. So we just, we're like, whatever, dude. So we come back to, I went to school at Pomona, but or actually in Claremont, Pomona College in Claremont. And then I grew up in Orange County. So they're about 40 miles apart. So I didn't go home much, but hey, first year homecoming, you got to go back, we go back and there's Carrie. She's 8 months pregnant or whatever. And we're like, holy crap. And we go to prom. Oh, it was prom night. And so there he was, shotgun wedding, like a week later. He didn't know about it. She showed up at homecoming, fully pregnant. Yeah. And so then I got bitched out by the family because I wasn't a good friend to keep him out of that trouble. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? So yeah, that kid dropped out of college right into the working world, So yeah, most of my friends right then. See what, Adam? Is he still
with her? Are they together?
I don't think so. They moved up to Oregon. They were in Las Vegas doing construction. I remember I talked to him many years ago, and I was doing that junior high gig down in Pomona, and I was telling him about, I had received, so the kids leave the classroom one day. I'm looking around and there's paper on the floor, but it's like folded up. So I'm like, oh, sweet. It's gonna be a little note. I'm gonna get this thing. I open it up and it goes like, hey, I know you're reading this, motherfucker. I'm like, what? Because yeah, Janakis, you're an asshole. I'm gonna stick this thing up your ass. And it was all different writing. It was like everybody in the class wrote something on it. Like, you fucking piece of shit. I know you in the back room. You sit there and jack off in the back room. And I'm like, oh my God, what? This is awesome. Unbelievable. How did they know I was going to pick it up? So, how back in the day, people would send out letters to people during the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote my letter on the back of that, so I made copies of it.
Oh.
I said, I'm enjoying my first year in teaching. On the back of this is a letter from a student, and everybody was like, oh my God.
Why did everyone call you a motherfucker? I'm still so confused.
That's
just how they felt.
With the term, or just saying it to me?
Just saying it to you specifically.
Oh, I don't know, because it's what people say. I don't know. It's weird. At that same school, like a year later, this is when one of the kids threatened me. This young African American kid is talking to a teacher, my neighbor teacher, out in the hallway, and the teacher's facing me, and the kid his back is towards me, and I see him behind his back. He has his fingers crossed. I mean, seriously, it's junior high. That means he can lie, and he's got his fingers crossed, but he's saying, yeah, I'll do it. I go, hey, Mr. Orzek, the kid's got his fingers crossed. And the kid turns around and goes, you motherfucker. He goes, you chicken white motherfucking that's bullshit. And then he said one of the best lines I've ever heard from a kid. He goes, my brother's getting out of prison next week. Don't make plans for Christmas. He said that to me. It was like late November. Don't make plans for Christmas. And I was like, that is awesome. I'm going to write that one down. And so I go to the principal. I go, yeah, that kid, that's that. And they go, you know, that's a new kid to our school. I go, I know. I just saw him. It was like the second day here. He goes, well, you know why he's here? I go, no. You didn't tell any of us why he's here. He says, he took a bat to the principal's car at the other school, totaled it. I said, well, does he happen to have a brother? They go, yeah, his brother's in jail for, you know, like manslaughter, like killing somebody. And I'm just like, is he getting out soon? They go, we don't know. I go, he said he's getting out soon. He told me not to make plans for Christmas. I'm like, well, what the hell was going on?
But you weren't scared.
Why? Come on, it's just a little kid. But I rode my bike to that school, so I rode through their neighborhood, so I could just see them jumping me, or you know. And they did jump people, and they did have drive-by shootings and stuff. But I was like, you know, I was just too young and stupid to know the difference. You know, be scared. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get hit by a car on your bike anyways, whether you're meant to or not, or something.
Are your kids like you by any chance? Like, are they similar? Do they have a are they like they're a fight kind of people, fight or flight?
My oldest one sort of has that. He started taking Muay Thai at like 25, and but a real nerd. Like he goes, Dad, you're going to be embarrassed. I'm in the middle of a Dungeons and Dragons game. I can't talk right now. I go, Dungeons and Dragons still? He's like 30. He's like, yeah, I'm the dungeon master. I'm like, okay, sweet. I guess if you're number one, you know.
Does he have a girlfriend?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that part's good. And the younger one is the mellow guy. He was voted most likely to become a stoner. And he's never smoked weed before.
Damn.
So he's the mellow, you know, guy. Oh yeah, all right. I'm going to read about the philosophy of the ancient sand people from northern Africa. You're like, okay, right. Yeah. So he really isn't. But he went to Beverly for 1 year.
Oh really?
Yes. So when I moved down. He came down, and then my wife came later, and he was with me, and we would go out to Venice because we lived in Venice to play basketball, and he would see me playing basketball. You know, I don't intentionally try to get people upset with me, but if they're going to foul and not call the foul, then I go, okay, well, that's how it's like you're playing tennis. If somebody's calling them tight to the lines, you're like, okay, I see where we're going with this. And it's the same thing, except it gets physical. So I remember going up for a shot, and this guy punched me in the back of the head. And I'm playing with my son. So I stop and I go, why are you punching me in the back of the head? Why don't you try to punch me in my face? And the other people are holding him back. And I'm mellow, just like I'm now. I said, come on, let him go. I got no problem with this. At least I got a chance. You punch me in the back of the head, I got no chance. Well, the next time out, my son gets a little chippy with somebody. And I turn to him and I go, do you realize I was willing to fight? Are you willing to actually take a shot to the head and maybe go down and be kicked 20 times? And he's like, I don't think so. I said, well, then you got to back off some. And so he's pretty mellow about everything. He's not like me at all. He's probably no road rage. He'd probably write about it in his journal afterwards, you know. Yeah, somebody cut me off on the road. Hopefully this will release it from my psyche, writing it down. And I'm like pulling over, like, come on, pull over.
Oh my God.
I respect that, like you standing your ground, because a lot of people wouldn't do that, especially now. Like people don't like confrontation at all.
It's the physical is stupid, I got to admit. But on the other hand, I've done that so many times in my personal life where, like the board member up here, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about me and the job I'm doing? well, this is what I think. And if I was to hold that in and lie to him, I mean, he asked. I mean, I asked 3 times, you sure you want me to tell you what I think? You sure? You really want me to tell you? And then calling people out, I always get the slap on the back. Good job, Janakis. We needed somebody to say that to him. Yeah, but how come it always has to be me? Well, because you're the only one stupid enough to say that to the guy, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you know what? You got to put your head on your pillow and be able to, you know, go to sleep at night. And if you're thinking about that you wimped out on something so stupid, you know, you can go get another job. You can, and I had kids at the time too and stuff. But you know, I don't know. It's
no, definitely something I'm realizing. You'd have to take your chances, man. Be yourself.
You do. And in teaching, because that's all I kind of know as far as this stuff goes, you can go somewhere else, or you can sit around and wait, and there's going to be a new principal and a new superintendent in a few years anyways. But I'm not that way. I'm like, you're going to treat me like this after all I've done? I'm out of here.
I respect that, because there's so many people that I know, they're like, I need this job. I need to like do all these things. And that's their only thing. Yeah.
Well, to be honest though, having a union is a benefit in one way, and that is they can get rid of you at the end of the year, or they can make life hard for you. So then I always had jobs lined up, and teaching's kind of nice, right? You get that summer to look for the job.
Oh yeah.
And so if it was 2 weeks, I'd be like, hey, guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to tell you to fuck off. But tonight I'm going to go through the classified ads and try to find a job. And then if I find one, I'm coming back tomorrow and tell you to fuck off.
It's being smart with it, 100%.
Yeah, but you don't have to. I think I told my kids that when they left the house. I mean, I would see these movies. I don't know if you guys watch the old what do they call them? Like the gang movies from like the 80s and 90s, where like the dad would sit down with the young black kid who's and he'd tell him, this is what being a man is. And all those things. But then I was like, my kids were grown. I'm like, I've never really sat down and like said this stuff to them. But then I'm like, I guess they see it as much as you have to, you tell them those things. Maybe that'd be a divorced dad would have to set that time aside, because, when we were living up here, just like I am now, we burn wood in the fireplace for heat. And so I'm out chopping wood, and they see that, and they see me working hard and doing these things. So I forgot where I was going.
So you basically, I guess you're saying that you set an example, like you lead by example, basically. Like
you try to, and but there was something else though. Oh man. So you're getting old, not even that old, and you just.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but have you watched The Blind Side? I don't know why I thought of it. You haven't seen it. Wow. Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I like that movie a lot. It's about a football player, and you need to watch it.
There are some coaches that love that stuff. For me, it was always like, I remember there was a show on a long time ago called Boston Public. And my mom was like, oh, it's such a good show. You should watch it. I go, I'm at school all day. Now I want to come home and watch a show about school. And the same with like those football movies.
That's true, yeah.
There's some football coaches like, oh my God, to get psyched up for the season, I watch whatever, Invincible or Little Giants or Blind Side. And I go, well, I don't know. I've seen Radio. That was pretty good. But I watch lots of movies, but I don't know.
You're like, I'm living it.
Yeah, and they're all bullshit.
You are the hype. You bring the hype to the show. You don't need no motivation for you. You just go in and use your own energy.
Yeah, this is your movie, Janakis. I see that. Yeah.
I told kids at Beverly, I said, you know what? I'd point to the class. I go, look at guys. I know some of you guys parents are in the industry and you're thinking you're going to go to NYU film school or some bullshit like that. If I ever see a movie made by you and there's a teacher that's played by Bruce Willis, shaved head and stuff, and I'm going to be like, you motherfuckers, that should have been me in that movie. What the hell are you doing? And then I said, and in another sense, I won't be too upset if it's like an old Leonardo DiCaprio or Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
but if it's Danny DeVito playing me, oh, I'm going to be pissed. So Adam, you make a movie with Danny DeVito as the tennis coach. That's supposed to be me?
I don't know. How old are you going to be by the time I do that, though? I don't know if you'll be able to attack me if I do anything.
You got an iPhone. You could
Sure.
make a movie right now. Yeah.
I could do that.
Plus, never underestimate me.
No, you'll come for me. You'll come for
That's
me.
Right.
If something
That's
wrong.
Right.
And I better get hiding.
I'll go get my passport in case you try to hide out in the British Empire somewhere.
I'll get that kid who almost blew up the school. That's my.
There you go. He still calls me occasionally with an unblocked number. Yeah, I just hang up on him.
How do you know?
Oh, that's the only one I could assume because he did it when we were in school. And I called the office and I go like, hey, I forget who was principal, if it was Meade or if it was Carter still. I'm like, dude, I'm getting calls from the kid that threatened to kill us all. Shouldn't there be like a restraining order of some sort that he can't like call us all the time? You know,
Yeah.
He's leaving messages. The minute
Jeez.
they called him and told him that, then I started getting these no ID calls all the time at weird times. And so I'd never gotten them before. So you're right. I don't know for sure, but just in my perverted mind, I think that's that kid calling again.
You'd rather not risk it. I don't know. He's crazy. So,
Coach, I have one more question for you, and then we'll probably wrap it up. How do I say this? How do you have the energy you have? Because there's honestly never been a time I've seen you where I've seen you like really low or anything. You always have this energy, whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, which I can tell. It's still such a high energy. What do you attribute that to?
I told my kids growing up that if they got complimented by somebody coming to me and saying like, you know what, you got a couple really good looking kids, I'd be like, okay, so what? That's like a luck, you know? If they said, hey, your kids are really super smart, man. Awesome. Way to go. I'd be like, that was part their mom and how we raised them. But, you know, that's a lot of natural stuff too, right? But if they were told your kids work hard, you got some hardworking kids, then I told my kids I would be proud. So my job has always been to outwork everybody else. And so even when tired, it's like, we got to get the stuff done. And so it's always been about working harder than the other guy. We're gonna do better. I'm gonna do better by working harder. I have to stay up later. I have to wake up early. I got to stay there at night. I got to do the stuff. And it's not that I'm complete psycho because I know when to stop. This is going to be hard. It's been hard being retired or so-called retired because now, am I supposed to work on the house 24/7? Am I supposed to be doing stuff all the time? How do I schedule time off? Where time off at school was, hey, tennis season ended. Now it's summer. Okay, time off. I got 2 weeks and then we started, summer football weight program. So there was always built in like time off. But to be honest with you, it's not some adrenal gland malfunction that makes me seem like I have energy. It's the idea that let's get this shit done. Let's go. Let's do this. And also knowing that when people have somebody as a coach, a manager, a leader that puts in more time than they do, they have almost a built-in instant respect. When you show up at track practice and Washington's there setting up the hurdles a half hour before you get there, and then you come back because you forgot something after practice an hour later and he's still there working with kids, you go, dude, he's putting in the time, And so I've tried to always live that way. I think that was, I don't have a real positive relationship with my father, but that's one of the things that I attribute to him is just that, and it maybe goes back to the rage and the desire to want to do better and all that stuff, but just to keep plugging along and saying like, guess what? We got to go. We got to do this. There's no sitting around. You don't get anything done sitting around. Yeah. And in this day and age, it's tough because as you're on house restriction now, I mean, what are you going to go do? You know, you kind of have to sit around, and screen time might be people's jobs, doing stuff on the screen, you know? And so to me, that would be hard to muster up that kind of energy, where if it's out in a classroom or moving around or yelling at kids about their backhand grip or something, that to me is easy and fun. And then at the end of the day, you can say, at least I put the time in, right? At least I gave it a shot. And that's, I think that's where maybe, Adam, you think of the energy is more of a, I think even Tom Brady, who I don't like very much, said something about just the fear of failure is huge. When I've done well in sports as a coach, most of the time at the end of that season, it's a relief when the season has ended with success. And it's not like a celebration. It's more like a, whew, man, okay. And then you start thinking about how to do it better. Right?
Yeah. I completely agree with you about your point, by the way, and you said it earlier, but action speaking louder than words. And when you are doing something like D-Wash being on the track an hour later, or you being ready for the tennis tournament or whatever, like, people start to respect you more because they see you're not just all talk, and then that's where the respect comes in. And that's when a
lot of that stuff has to be about the people you choose to be around. You know, because as you guys both have had friends, I'm sure that say like, hey, let's stop now. We're done, right? Let's call it quits. You know, we don't need to study anymore. The grade we're going to get, let's just, blah, blah, blah. And then you have other ones that you like are competing with. I have a buddy who so Miss Jovetic and I have adjoining rooms at Beverly.
Yeah, I remember.
Up here is a man, Mr. Cunningham, Bob Cunningham, who had an adjoining room to me. So we were tight, just like Sue and I were tight. And he's a workaholic dude. So like he called me up to help him out re-roofing his house the other day. So we were up there and we're like pushing each other, like, we can get this done. Yeah, we can get it done. And we just, well, what are you doing afterwards? Well, I'm gonna go in the wood shop and I'm gonna build something. And he's like, oh, so you are? Well, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna build, you know, this thing over, you know, it's so you get this competitive stuff going on, and that's good. Yeah, exactly. And if you surround yourself with those people, this goes back to Adam thinking it's a energy thing, but you see that other person and you just go, well, they're up and doing it. My legs work.
It's
you know? Yeah, but for sure. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. Put yourself around the right people. Even if it's tough, you can do it. Make that change. It's worth it because it will.
Well, and not getting into politics, but when you surround yourself with those people, they can also, they don't always have to agree with you. And that's maybe even better to have them that are kind of not agreeing with you, because then you have to prove yourself to yourself and say like, oh, wait a minute. He thinks we should do it this way. No. We're doing it my way. This is the way. But having that person always question you.
And you like figure out people are even more that way. Because
I've had those bosses that want that. And then you tell them and then they go like, we never wanted you to really tell us that. We wanted you to, you know, get on your knees.
Are fake, man. They don't know what they want. Crazy.
A lot of people are yes men. A lot of people just want to be told,
so many
yes, you're doing good, you're good, and everything's okay. But I respect that realness, because my dad's honestly the same too. You'd rather have like two people that are telling you at least their truth and their true truth of what they believe in the situation and the time, than someone who's lying to your face.
Yeah, and as the older you get, it's an interesting phenomenon that happens where, because you get to know people on a more superficial level. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. When you're younger, you guys spend this time together, quality time. You get to know each other well, going through those changes through adolescence, through adulthood. But then as you're 30 years old and you meet somebody, what do you know about them? Well, just what they tell you. I mean, you know what a kid is like you played football with, or you were on the track team with the one that quit early, or the one that did this, or the one that cheated on his girlfriend with your girlfriend, or, all those kind of things, and then you find out later about them those things. They can lie to you through all that stuff. But that's the difficult thing, is that surrounding yourself with those people, and then also being able to discard the ones that step over those lines that you've drawn around,
Boundaries.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
Janakis, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I honestly die of laughter every time I talk to you. So we'll talk soon.
Hey, you guys want to do this anytime, just give me a call.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Thanks for being on.
Take it easy.
All right.
Bye.
Like and subscribe in a bit.
See you guys.